What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com, and welcome back to another one of our Kentucky Derby updates. Well, we do have a lot to talk about this week. We'll see what happens. Let's run it down. All right, so let's recap what happened last weekend. We'll start with the Jeff Ruby. We'll do it quickly because Endlessly won the Jeff Ruby. Looked very good, and I was very happy to see Endlessly get the job done there. However, right after the race, they said they're going to go to the American Turf Derby instead of the Kentucky Derby. So the winner really doesn't have any say in it. The second place horse, West Saratoga, probably in the Derby by now. I would say almost locked in the Derby with that second place finish in the Jeff Ruby. Give this horse a lot of attention as far as the story. It's a really great story. They'll tell it on Derby Day a million times, I'm sure. So that's great that those connections get in. West Saratoga in the Derby. Seize the Gray, a horse that's owned by my racehorse, at least partly. Look, may get in, may sneak in. Right now doesn't have enough points, but could sneak in. So as far as the Derby goes, those are your two horses. Probably not contenders, really, but great stories if they both can get in. So we'll see what happens there. Contender definitely in the Louisiana Derby, where Catching Freedom gets the job done. Boy, it looked grim up the backside as he was last. It's like, wow, he got in a horrible position. Didn't break very well and kind of got shuffled back, but was rallying down the stretch furiously, on the outside there, and was able to get the job done by a length. So Catching Freedom, a nice win for sure. I did not think it was just something outstanding that gave you a ton of confidence, but I do think it was very nice and gives you some confidence. And I think the biggest thing is hadn't really done well in the stretch before, been a little bit green in his last two races. He was pretty straight and strong this time. So I think Catching Freedom definitely stamped himself as a major contender. It was good to see Anna Marie bounce back and get a second place effort in this spot after a poor showing in the Risen Star Stakes. I thought he ran really well. He's now safely in the Kentucky Derby. The third place horse, Tuscan Gold, I should say. Chad Brown horse, getting better with every start. Might be Chad Brown's Preakness horse. Probably isn't gonna make the Derby. Doesn't have enough points, but it could be a Preakness horse. Fourth place finisher, Track Phantom. He has enough points to get in the Kentucky Derby. We'll see if they run him or not. He just seems to be a tad like a cut below the big ones in this group right now, but still a consistent horse. I thought he ran okay. Just, he is who he is at this point. But Catching Freedom, I definitely think, and Anna Marie as well, two horses that are contenders now. Let's go through the top five here. Let's see if anybody from those races made my list. Spoiler alert, they did. Number 5 this week, I put Conquest Warrior. He's getting ready to run this weekend, and we'll talk about it in a second, the Florida Derby. This horse is 2 for 2 this year. Down at Gulfstream, broke the maiden, beat Antiquarian, who ran okay in the Louisiana Derby. And then obviously a nice allowance win last time out at the Florida Derby distance of 1 1/8. He did it without much urging. So Conquest Warrior at number 5. I'm pretty excited about him in the Florida Derby. We'll see how he does. Number 4 is Dornock. He's not going to run the Florida Derby. He's going to wait for the Bluegrass. So we'll see our 4th-ranked horse next week in the Bluegrass Stakes. Listen, nice win of the Fountain Youth. Nice win in the Rimson. Nice win before that at Keeneland in a maiden special weight. So 3 good wins in a row. If he can win the Bluegrass, he probably will be the favorite. Number 3 on my list also runs this coming weekend, and that is Mystic Dan. I'm ready to put him number 1 or take him off the list completely, to be completely honest with you. I don't know what he is. He's a total mystery. His Southwest was better than anything we've seen this year. It was a money track. He rallied up the rail. Was that a real effort? Well, we're going to find out. He's in the Arkansas Derby, tough field. If he can run that race again, he's going to be number 1 on this list next week when I'm doing this video. If he doesn't, and he doesn't hit the board, he might be off the list. He's all or nothing. I've got him at number 3 just for the potential. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Number 2 on the list is Catching Freedom. I did move Catching Freedom up to number 2 here. The win in the Louisiana Derby. It was impressive. That took a lot of guts to rally up there and get the job done and win the race. Couple things, coming from dead last in Kentucky Derby is always tough. It's not impossible, but it is going to be tough. So the trip, I'm a little bit worried about for Catching Freedom in the Kentucky Derby. And I'm not a big gallop out guy. I don't really care all that much, but he basically stopped right after the wire. He did not gallop out very well at all. Take it for what it's worth. I didn't love it. I don't take it completely serious. It's like, oh, wow, well, he's completely done. But I've watched horses gallop out for a long time now, and that did not seem great. So anyway, I do have him at number 2, though. I thought I thought he was pretty darn good in that race. And then finally, number 1, Sierra Leone. Once again this week, we're waiting for the Bluegrass. I just project pretty solid improvement next time out for this horse. So I got to keep him at number 1 until we see the Bluegrass, or until somebody just kind of blows me away. Catching Freedom was impressive, but it didn't blow me away. So I keep Sierra Leone there at number 1. And then finally, Sierra Leone did finish ahead of Catching Freedom when they faced each other in the Risen Star. So we'll see what happens. Bluegrass for Sierra Leone. He'll rematch with Dornoch, the 2 horses that ran 1-2 in the Rimson. So that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, and that will tell us a lot, I am sure. So to recap, number 5, Conquest Warrior, number 4, Dornoch, number 3, Mystic Dan, number 2, Catching Freedom, and the number 1, Sierra Leone. All right, we have 3 big races coming up this weekend, 3 Kentucky Derby prep races. One of them will happen over in Dubai, the UAE Derby. We know Forever Young is the main Kentucky Derby contender that's in that race. I know a lot of people think Forever Young's the number 1 horse, so we'll see. We'll see what he does. Florida Derby and Arkansas Derby, we do have the full fields. I'll run them down now. The Florida Derby has drawn a field of 11. Frankie's Empire, Hades, Bail Us Out, Grand Mo the First, Real Macho, Les Dames Bro, Catalytic, Seminole Chief, Conquest Warrior, Fierceness, and Iris's Dream. So that is your field for the Florida Derby. At first glance, it's not the strongest field. We do have Fierceness, who we desperately need to see what he does here. He's a horse that may not be in the Kentucky Derby if he doesn't win or run well. He's also a horse that could be an overwhelming favorite in the Kentucky Derby if he somehow gets back to that Breeders' Cup Juvenile race. So he's a real question mark, and we have Conquest Warrior, kind of the up-and-coming horse that, I mean, to me, Fierceness better have his running shoes on, or Conquest Warrior are probably going to catch him. So if Fierceness even gets out to the lead, we'll see. So it's not a great race, but it could produce the Kentucky Derby favorite. I don't know. This is a strange one. Fierceness is just such a tough horse to kind of figure out. And I think everybody's kind of just, well, we'll leave him on our Derby list and we'll kind of let him tell us at the Florida Derby. The other thing is, let's pretend Fierceness does show up and run huge. Can you really trust him the next time? I mean, he's never put 2 races in a row together. Can you trust him in the Kentucky Derby? I'm not sure. I'm kind of against him. I don't think I'm going to play him in here. I kind of like Conquest Warrior. I'll have a full preview out of that race. You can watch that. So, all right, let's get to the Arkansas Derby. That's the other one we have the full field for. Field of 10 for this one. Another one that a couple of good horses, and then a couple, 4 or 5 that need to take a step up. So we'll take it from the rail out here. We'll take it Timberlake, Dymatic, Time for Truth, Liberal Arts, Informed Patriot, Muth, Just Steel, Mystic Dan, and Imperial Gun. I think we get a lot of questions answered. The one thing I'll say, and Muth has no bearing on the Kentucky Derby because he is trained by Bob Baffert, but he kind of is a measuring stick in a way, right? Like, he is very consistent. He is a very consistent horse. If he fires his top effort and somebody beats him, I think we can exit the Arkansas Derby and go, hey, this horse is pretty good. He beat Muth. It's not easy to beat him. I don't think anybody's beating him. That's the problem. I think Muth's the best horse in this race, but we'll see what happens. But he's a good measuring stick, and you do have the Mystic Dan situation. We'll see what he can do. Timberlake, it was a bad rebel as far as the field, but he ran okay in it. See what he can do. I mean, I think Muth's the measuring stick. Even though he is meaningless for the Kentucky Derby, he is meaningful. Okay, here's Muth. How do those horses, kind of run with him? The other thing that makes this a little tricky, Muth hasn't ran in 84 days. He was supposed to come to the Rebel Stakes. He didn't show up. He had like some weird training situations. I mean, he's training okay now. I don't think Bob Baffert puts him on a plane if he doesn't think he's ready to fire a pretty good race. So, but he has some question marks as well as far as how fit he is and stuff like that. But anyway, that is the Arkansas Derby field. So again, UAE Derby, Florida Derby, Arkansas Derby. Yep, going to be a pretty loaded weekend for as far as the Kentucky Derby prep races go. And also we have the Dubai World Cup as well. So, early in the morning to late at night, we're going to be talking about this. So, all right, guys, that'll do it for this week's Kentucky Derby episode. We will be back next week. A ton to update, obviously, with these 3 preps and then 3 more the next weekend. So that Kentucky Derby update will probably be, one of the biggest ones we do until we actually get to the week of the race. So, It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for watching this video. Hit that like button if you like it. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, come back next week. We'll have a major update on the Derby.